Hey everyone, in today's video, we're going to be comparing the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra to the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Two of the most exciting smartphones on the market, but which one's better? Let's get started. Okay, let's start this video off with the price. At the time of this video, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra is priced at $1,379.99 for the 500 gigabyte version. And there's also 1 terabyte version of both of these, and a 100 something and a 200 gigabyte version. And then the iPhone 14 Pro Max is $1,399. So a very slight difference in price, but honestly, I think the S23 Ultra is more worth it just because it has a lot more features that the iPhone doesn't. But let's talk about that. Speaking of features, let's talk about the cameras. So the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra is equipped with 5 cameras, 6 if you're counting the selfie camera. So we have a 12 megapixel selfie camera on the front, and then in the back we have a 200 megapixel camera, a 10 megapixel photo or telephoto lens with 10x optical zoom. Then we have another telephoto lens, which is 10 megapixel, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide lens. And then we have a depth sensor and a flash. So it's pretty simple there, but a really great camera system with some of the best cameras in the market right now. Okay, now for the iPhone 14 Pro Max. So this year we didn't get a huge camera upgrade with hardly any major improvements, but we did get a brand new 48 megapixel main camera. And we also have a 12 megapixel telephoto lens and a 12 megapixel ultra wide lens. And the telephoto lens has 2x zoom. And then at the front, we have a 12 megapixel selfie camera that takes decent photos, just a little bit grainy, but I mean pretty good. Now for battery life. So the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery with 45 watts super fast charging, while the iPhone 14 Pro Max has a 4,323 milliamp hour battery with 20 watt charging. So that's the fastest it can do. So the Samsung definitely will charge faster in roughly 40 minutes, while the iPhone takes roughly about an hour and a half. But as for battery life itself, I would definitely say the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra has to win this category just because it is so good in battery life and just day-to-day performance, with getting a day and a half to 2 days of battery life with moderate use and a full day with extra to spare on a day of heavy use. So I have been very impressed, and then with the iPhone with light use, I'm probably getting about a day with like maybe 20% left over, and with hard use, a day maybe to 4 o'clock, and then I have to recharge. So for battery life, I'd say the Samsung definitely wins this category. Okay, now for just quality, durability, and just important stuff like that. So I use the iPhone 14 Pro Max without a case or screen protector for probably a little less than a week, maybe a little bit longer. And then the Samsung, I almost never have a case on it, but if I do, I either have this case on it, which is just like a plastic case, or this official Samsung case, which I kind of like. It just kind of gets stuck in your pocket sometimes. But usually I don't put a case on it, and I don't have a screen protector on this phone, but I do on the iPhone. And I always have the iPhone in this case, which is really nice. And I got a screen protector for it a little while after I got it, because when like a few days after I got it, there was, you can't really see it now, but there was like a small, almost like a small chip out of the screen, and that was just kind of weird, and I don't even know what it was from. Like, I didn't drop it really hard. And then on the bottom, you can see, let's see. I don't know if you can really see it, but there are some really bad scratches on the bottom. You can kind of see it there. I don't even know what that was from either. And the Samsung, I did drop this pretty bad outside. I was just walking and I had it in my hand and I dropped it and it fell right on the screen. And there is one, hold on. There's one micro scratch. I don't know if you can see it. There it is, near the bottom. But other than that, this phone has no physical damage to it. And the iPhone, can't say as much, especially around the mute switch. There's like a lot of just small scratches where nothing bad happened to it. Like I didn't drop it like right here. And like I could understand there being like a few scratches maybe from that. But I don't see why there would be a reason for there being a scratch there. Okay, so earlier I talked about cameras, but I never really showed you anything. So I'll do a quick comparison. Okay. So let's do a comparison between two photos. So starting with the iPhone 14 Pro, Pro Max. This is a micro shot captured of a snow crocus. And I think it did a pretty good job. Some of the edges is kind of blurred, but considering that it was very close, I would say it was a pretty good photo. And then with the Samsung, similar result, except it definitely has a lot more detail if you zoom in. And also, I feel like it just got the colors very right and accurate and the shadowing perfect. And it didn't like mess up on the edges of the flower. Then the same with like this rock. So for the iPhone 14 Pro Max, I had to put it into portrait mode to do this effect on the rock. But the Samsung S23 Ultra just did it automatically. So that's on the Samsung. And then this is on the iPhone. So there's slightly different angles, but you can see the similar results. But I would definitely say that the Samsung in a lot of cases is a lot sharper. So I'll go ahead to another example. Let's see, hold on. Okay, so this is another example of a micro shot. Oops. Sorry. Okay, so this is another example of a micro shot off the iPhone 14 Pro Max. It did a pretty good job. It added that white spot, though, that it was there, but it definitely saw that and took it more of a part, like, coloring on the flower than the actual color was. But I think it did a pretty good job. And then on the Samsung S23 Ultra, it really captured the photo really well. It didn't get that weird thing that the iPhone had. I think it's definitely a lot better. It's so much clearer if you zoom in, even to like really deepen the flower. And then, so another thing that obviously the iPhone cannot do is moonshots. So that is a shot which I know all the things that are going around with the moon faking that Samsung has been accused of doing, and I kind of understand where they're coming from. But I mean, honestly, I've done a few things, not exactly, but hold on, let's see. So in some of the tests, they put the moon in front of, or some of, like an object. Now here it's kind of blurry because it was cold and I was kind of shaky, but you can see that it didn't do anything with the branch that was around it, which was kind of like what some of the people said it was doing. But consider that you can get something like I just showed you. Something like that, where on the iPhone 14 Pro, that is all you can get. It just looks kind of like a very zoomed in picture of the sun, and it's very grainy. But I would definitely say Samsung also wins this category of cameras just because it has actual zoom, where the iPhone 14 Pro Max doesn't really have anything of a good zoom lens. Like, it's nothing that you would actually want to use in day-to-day use. So I would definitely say Samsung has a more superior camera than Apple does, at least for now. Maybe that'll change this year with the iPhone 15 lineup. but we'll see. So which one of these devices are actually worth it? So honestly, I would say the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, definitely for me at least, is the clear winner here. I would say it's definitely more superior in build quality, just design with a more modern design than the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And the cameras are so much better. The display is a tier above Apple. And I would definitely just say that it's a lot more streamlined. And you also have this built-in S Pen that I personally use a lot just to jot down notes or just using it as like a stylus. So honestly, I would say the S23 Ultra is definitely worth it. Definitely a better quality than the iPhone 14 Pro Max. But the iPhone 14 Pro Max is definitely a very great device to pick up if you're interested in buying an iPhone. And if you just like Apple's ecosystem better than Samsung's, which is understandable because I know their computers work really well, but also Samsung's work really well. So it's just kind of what your personal preference is. And I always try to leave the determination up to you guys, just which one you prefer better. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll catch you in my next video.